Hello everyone, it's Mark Shalero, the owner of MS Classic Cars, and today we're presenting the MS Classic Cars Barrett-Jackson Scottsdale 2023 collection. You've got to check it out. Okay, before we get going with the Barrett-Jackson collection, what I wanted to do is I wanted to give credit to the entire MS Classic Cars team. There are two people that are actually missing from this team. That would be my business partner, Brian Frank, and also my friend and auction assistant, Bradley Kellett. But for now, I'm going to introduce all the people behind the scenes. A lot of times with the camera, all you see is me, and I want to showcase the talent that makes this all possible at what we do with MS Classic Cars. So, first, introducing service manager and shop foreman, Michael Marcello. Introducing service technician, Joseph Fournier. Introducing service technician, Paul Machado. Introducing service technician, Wayne Arnold. Introducing service administrator and detailer, Randy Lillybridge. Introducing detailer, James Peckham. Introducing detailer, Ricky Bobby Sylvia. Introducing photographer, marketer, Corey Smiley. And last but not least, introducing jack of all trades, Carl Almeida. There you have it, folks, the MS Classic Cars team. Okay, so I'd like to start off this video by saying this is non-rehearsed. There's a lot of information that I'm sure to forget, so please visit our website at msclassiccars.com for a complete description of every vehicle with a ton of photos. We go above and beyond to be as transparent as possible so you clearly can see every vehicle. If you have or have not been following MS Classic Cars, please note that I only collect number 1 and number 2 condition vehicles. We've been doing that since inception. I'm very proud to say that we're the only classic car dealer in the country that services every vehicle that we sell. We document that work with an invoice that we provide and display in the photo gallery. When the vehicles are done going through our vigorous service process, we detail them to the highest level. So if you don't know about MS Classic Cars, I would ask to do your homework. So today, as presenting in this really nice 22-page magazine that will be on display at the auction, please pick it up if you're going to be there in person. It's a beautiful magazine that we've designed. As it clearly states, this collection is the MS Classic Cars Barrett-Jackson Scottsdale 2023 collection. It is being held, obviously, in Scottsdale, Arizona between January 21st and January 29th. All of our vehicles, again, on our website indicate what day they're selling and what the lot number is. And we've also lettered all of the windshields here so you clearly can see the year, make, model, again, what day it's selling, and the lot number. So I'd like to first, before I get into presenting each one of these vehicles here today, I would like to first make note and talk a little bit about this collection. Over all the years, as my website indicates, I've owned some of the most beautiful cars, period. We have had over 800 vehicles pass through the MS Classic Cars collection that we're very, very proud of. I have done many Barrett-Jackson auctions. We've offered many collections. This collection is clearly the best collection that we've ever offered in the history of MS Classic Cars, which says a lot. And I want to make sure I explain the reasons why. When you go on the market, internet, you look at different websites, auction sites, etc., you will find that finding high quality vehicles is very difficult. When you find high quality vehicles, then the vehicles have to check all the remaining boxes that are left. Those boxes would be documentation, it would be certification, it would be production numbers, it would be what colors the car are, what options they are, do they have the original drivetrains, and so forth. It takes tons of time, and there's a very, very limited amount of those cars that actually check all the boxes. I believe that this collection that we're presenting here, every single vehicle checks the boxes. This is a great opportunity to purchase these vehicles with no reserve. You can be there in person, you can call over the phone, you can bid online, and make sure to place the bid of what you believe the vehicle's worth and have fun doing it. It's a great, great way to buy a car. So let's start off with this particular vehicle here. This is something that I'm extremely proud of. Pictures, even this video, do it absolutely no justice. Carl Almeida, who had seen this vehicle for the first time, he's one of our teammates here at MS Classic Cars. He hadn't seen it at all until this morning, and he made a comment and said, "Mark, this vehicle is so amazing in person compared to what it was in the photos. It looked beautiful in the photos, but seeing it live is a whole different ball game." So this is very rare. It's a 1965 Chevrolet C10 Crew Cab custom pickup truck. It's just absolutely amazing. These are very, very rare, and so everybody is very clear. This section of the truck, 35 inches here, was added to the truck in 1965 by Stageway Coaches, who was the company that actually did these conversions, again, back in 1965. This truck has original paperwork. It's been through an amazing restoration. It's got an error-correct Corvette red colored paint, which is outstanding paint work. It's won awards for body and paint. Everything is brand spanking new. The interior is very, very correct for the time frame. They did little custom touches to the interior. I think it marries the exterior color perfectly, but they didn't go too custom. So the guys who are the purists are going to really love this truck because it still looks somewhat correct, especially when you're sitting inside. Where it really gets interesting is underneath the hood. This thing is packing a GM Performance LSX, which is an amazing modern drivetrain, 627 horsepower. We advertised it with 620. We did some research. This motor actually has 627, if you can imagine, and it's coupled to an amazing transmission, the 4L85E. So again, the drivetrain in this truck is absolutely awesome. When you hear it run, which you can check out our videos that we have on our website of this truck starting and running, it sounds absolutely amazing. You can see these beautiful custom wheels here. You can see the huge brakes. Again, it's got a killer stance. This is how the truck sits. It's not on air ride or anything like that. It's just an absolutely amazing vehicle. Again, when you open these doors and close them, it's just solid, super nice. The bed is the nicest bed that we've ever seen in a pickup truck before. It is awesome. Once again, I just cannot say enough about it. Barrett-Jackson has never had a crew cab C10. It's going to be very interesting to see what this sells for. It's, again, selling on Saturday. It's lot number 1425.1. Again, we have all of those across the front windshields, so you can check those out. But again, you can visit our website, msclassiccars.com, for a complete description with a ton of photos and a complete video on the truck. We're going to make our way over. I'm going to start, I think, in the back here. And then what we're going to do is we're going to kind of start with this car, finish over there, come this way, and then we're going to finish with the carrot of our collection. So this vehicle here, this is one of the, I think, best examples in the world. We are huge Mustang aficionados at MS Classic Cars. I'm a member of the MCA. Very proud to say that I've had some of the best Ford Mustangs of all generations over the years. We've had many Boss 302s. Matter of fact, last year we had a car that actually won the Boss Nationals in 2020, which was a really cool thing. But this particular car here, it is absolutely breathtaking. So, 1970 Ford Mustang, Boss 302. It's selling with no reserve on Friday. Again, the date is January 27th. That truck that I just mentioned a minute ago, that was Saturday, which is the 28th. The lot number on this Mustang is 1101. Absolutely amazing car. So, to tell you the history of this car quick, it was purchased by me from the gentleman, his name was Gary, who actually owned the car since 1976. We have all that documentation to support that claim. It was with him for all these years. During the time that he owned the car, he collected a ton of original equipment, knowing one day that he was going to do a restoration to the car, which he did. It was an open checkbook restoration. I mean, it is truly stunning. He used a lot of original NOS parts on the car. The car was born this color. This is Calypso Coral, one of the most desirable colors of this generation, especially Boss 302 color. Of course, the black just really highlights that beautiful orange. It was born with the black interior, as this car has it. It's powered by its original matching numbers, Boss 302 V8 engine, and its original matching numbers, 4-speed manual transmission. Again, when you see the photos of this vehicle online, don't take it from me, just look at the photos. It is absolutely mirror quality underneath. It is, again, one of the best examples I've ever seen. And once again, it's going to be selling with no reserve. This is a huge, huge opportunity. One thing that I just wanted to make note of before we move on to the next car, notice in the back of this particular car, it does not have the window slats that are typically seen on these cars. And this black trim here, which normally would be underneath that area, so you kind of lose this, gives it a really slick look back here, especially with this being done in black, and then of course the black spoiler. This is just a killer look on this car. Now, making our way over to this vehicle, we go from a 1970 to a 1971. This is clearly the year that they changed the body style from that to this. These are now becoming extremely popular, and they're very hard to find because they made a very limited amount. 1,800 and change of these cars were produced in 1971. Again, this is a 71 Ford Mustang Boss 351. Some of these cars are just so spectacular in the way that they look, the way that they were designed. I believe of all the Boss 351s that I've seen over the years, this is one of the best examples I've ever personally seen. Love this color. They only made a few hundred in this color, and of those few hundred that they made in this color, it was 30 and change had this color blue interior, so it's an absolutely amazing color combination. This is the original color blue this car was born with. Same thing with the interior. Like this Boss 302, next to it, this car has another great story. This is a car that was with its last owner for many, many years. There's tons of documentation that I've organized in a binder. It's got to be this thick. Original paperwork from day one. It's got everything that you could imagine regarding its provenance. And again, it sports the original color combination. It also has its original matching numbers, Boss 351 V8 engine, and the original matching numbers 4-speed transmission. What makes this car really special is it's won 8 MCA Gold Awards. It's won a ton of awards, but I've never seen a Boss 351 with as many awards as what this car has. It was featured in magazines. Again, you can see everything on our website at msclassiccars.com that will really spell out the car. And again, don't forget what I had mentioned earlier when I was talking about the C10. We have a video of that Boss 302. We have a video of this car. We have a video of all the cars that goes into more detail about each individual vehicle. As we make our way over to this, I'm going to reference this car as the Holy Grail. I am just speechless with this car. This is a 1970 Chevrolet Chevelle SS LS6. This vehicle, it's one of the most special LS6s that I've seen. This car also has a great story. It has a build sheet. It sports its original color combination here, cranberry red, black racing stripes, black bucket seat interior. This is not a bench seat car, as you will find with a lot of LS6s. This is what people are really, really looking for on their bucket list with LS6s, is the bucket seats. It's got the whole floor console and so forth. This car is powered by its original matching numbers LS6 V8 engine. It's also has its original matching numbers 4-speed transmission. Again, just an absolutely amazing car. This car is selling on Saturday. Again, that's January 28th. Lot number is 1370. You want to make sure to get yourself ready for this one when it crosses the stage, because this is an unbelievable car. Some people think the LS6 is at the top of the chain when we talk about muscle cars from this generation. Again, they only made 4,000 and change of these LS6 Chevelles and so forth, and LS6s in general. So it's just an amazing car. This car has been inspected by 2 experts. The first expert would be Rick Nelson. We have the Rick Nelson report. The second expert would be Jerry McNeish of Camaro High Performance. He has certified the car and so forth. So to have a car inspected by 2 experts means a ton. Unfortunately, these cars are rebodied. People, get very, very shady with what they do to try to recreate cars that never existed. It's a little bit different with the Mustangs, because the Mustangs have Marty reports and documentation from Ford that kind of prove what they are. But when you get into these cars, unfortunately, the Chevrolet products, Camaros, Novas, Chevelles and so forth, they didn't have that type of archives. So you really need the experts to make sure that you're buying something that's authentic and real, as this car is. So again, an absolutely awesome car. And before I forget, in case I didn't mention it, back to that Boss 351 just for a second. That vehicle is selling on Friday, January 27th. The lot number is 1071.1. So again, no reserve, no reserve. It's going to be absolutely epic. As we make our way over to the corner here, as they said in Dirty Dancing, nobody puts Babe in the corner. This is Babe. This is an absolutely stunning 1962 Chevrolet Bel Air bubble top. This thing is one of the best restorations I've ever seen. All of these cars are just at the highest level of quality, but this car here with this original color of twilight blue, it's such a sexy, sexy color. This car is super straight. This white top here, which really accents the iconic bubble top design. makes it just so beautiful. It's got the painted steel wheels that match with the little hubcaps in the center. Everything about this car is in beautiful condition. This car also had long-term ownership history. I became very friendly with the owner of this car. He's a super, super nice guy. Again, he did an unbelievable job restoring this car. The interior color, again, is original to the car. It matches the outside of the car perfectly. Underneath the hood here, we've got a 409 engine. It's a dual quad setup, all date code correct. It also has a date code correct 4-speed transmission. Again, this car is a multiple award-winning car. It is just, again, one of the favorite 62 Bel Air bubble tops I've ever seen. It's selling on Friday. Again, that's January 27th. Lot number is 1051.1. You've got to make sure to see this baby cross the stage. This is actually the first car of the MS Classic Cars collection it's going to be selling. It's going to set the momentum moving forward as the cars get deeper into the collection. But this is something that we're just super, super proud of. You've got to go to our website. You've got to check out the pictures of these cars. You've got to see the videos because it goes into way more detail than what I'm going over with here today. But again, wanted to make sure that I really spoke highly of this car because it deserves it. We're going to make our way over now back to this row and talk about this amazing car. This is my first 1967 Chevrolet Camaro Z28. If you have or haven't been following MS Classic Cars, one of the cars that we specialize in besides Mustangs, as I had mentioned earlier, is first generation Camaros. They only made 602 Camaros in 1967 Z28 models, so they're very, very hard to find. This particular car, like a lot of these cars, have great stories. This car was with its owner forever. Again, became very friendly with him, great guy. He bought this car. He did an amazing job having it restored. This car does retain its original red exterior color with the white stripes. In my opinion, nothing is sexier than this color combination. These red line tires really, really accent the color. Again, it's got a black interior. Now, what makes this interior so special on this car is it has a bench seat. Only 2 cars known to exist in the world of Z28s have a bench seat. Super, super rare. This car is powered by a correct 302 V8 engine. It's been completely rebuilt to Z28 specifications. It's coupled to the original matching numbers, 4-speed transmission, and so forth. Here's the thing with this car. This is where it even gets better than what you see here. There's an event through the Camaro Nationals. It's called Legends. Some of the best cars in the world are invited to Legends. They have tons of judges, some of the best judges in the country for first-generation Camaros. They scrutinize these cars. Only 8 67 Z28s in history have ever achieved Legends certification. This is one of them. Very, very special. Now, it even gets more special. When I went on to the Camaro Nationals website and I looked at the 19 cars from 1967, I think it was to 1982, about 119 cars ever were awarded the Legend certificate. Of all those cars, only 4 vehicles scored a perfect 100 points. This is one of those 4 vehicles. I don't really know what else to say other than this is as correct of a restoration that you will ever find on a 1967 Camaro Z28. It is absolutely super special. It's selling on Saturday, January 28th. Lot number is 1307.1. Again, no reserve. So whatever you think the car's worth, just place your bid. That's the great thing about having no reserve auctions is you might think the car's worth this, this, or this. Bid what you think it's worth. You can't be there in person, bid over the phone. You're not next to a phone, bid online. you can't even do any of that, call Barrett-Jackson ahead of time and give them what you're willing to spend on the car, and they'll bid on your behalf. Again, it's super easy to register. Contact Barrett-Jackson. You have plenty of time to do so. This is a car that you absolutely don't want to miss. As we make our way over, kind of like we did with the Bosses, where I went from 1970 to 1971, we're doing the same thing here, except we're doing the trifecta, 67, 68, and 69. This car, this is another extremely special car. Again, I chose what I believe to be some of the best examples in the world that are all going to be displayed in this collection. This is a 1968 Chevrolet Camaro Z28. Now, they made 6,000 and change of these cars, which make them very, very rare in themselves. But of those, less than 20% had the RS package, which is the Rally Sport package, which is really noted with the hideaway headlights. That is a rare car in itself. This car has limited ownership history. Again, long-term ownership history and limited ownership history. The gentleman that actually did this restoration never marketed the car for sale, offered it to me before he did so. Of course, I jumped on the opportunity. This is a fresh restoration. It was just finished. It sports its original rally green exterior color, which is stunning with the white stripes. It looks absolutely beautiful. The interior, less than 1% were made with ivory houndstooth. Most of the time when you see a houndstooth interior, it's a black interior with houndstooth. This car has ivory with houndstooth, super, super rare. This car, along with that car as well, I did not mention this, actually all three of these cars were certified by Camaro expert Jerry McNeish of Camaro High Performance. Jerry was just here at MS Classic Cars doing a few certifications for us last week with Norm Meads, a gentleman that helps him. They couldn't say enough about these cars, but I want to make sure that I clarify that all three of these cars are certified. This car here has its original matching numbers, V8 engine, and it has a correct 4-speed transmission. Again, it's got a protector plate and additional paperwork. Very hard to find a 1968 Z28 with an original protector plate. This car's got it. Again, it's selling with no reserve on Friday, January 27th. Lot number is 1068. You don't want to miss this car. You don't want to miss any of these cars. It would be crazy not to register to be able to bid. Making our way over to this car here. This is the end of the trifecta with the first generation Camaros. This is a 1969 Chevrolet Camaro Z28. This particular car here, again, was certified by Jerry McNeish. This is one of the cars that he came in last week to actually certify. He certified it back many years ago. I think it was 2006. I wanted to refreshen the certification, so he looked at this car. This is a very interesting car. So the first thing is, this car has something that Jerry said he hasn't seen in years, and he only has a limited amount in his archives. It has broadcast sheets. So when you hear me say with a Chevelle build sheet, Camaros had broadcast sheets. This car has 3 original broadcast sheets. It has some other dealer documentation that comes with the car as well. That is rare in itself. The color. This is dusk blue. I think this color, some people would argue, could be 1, 2 on their list as far as desirability, collectability. It is an absolutely stunning color blue. This is the original color the car was born with. It sports white racing stripes, which complement the blue beautifully. Black interior. This car has its original 302 V8 engine, 4-speed transmission, rear end, etc. It's all original to the car, all matching numbers. Now, here's the part of this car that's really special. This was a survivor car before, around 2006, they did an exterior restoration. Body, which is laser straight, beautiful paint, all the bright work, wheels, glass in some areas, and so forth. but they never touched the interior. That's right. This car has the original interior, and it's in excellent condition. Jerry looked at this engine compartment in this car, couldn't believe how beautiful the engine compartment was. We actually rebuilt this engine because it had never been rebuilt, was never taken out of the car. We rebuilt it, we dynoed it. Again, you can see all that on our website. You can check out the video and go into more detail. But he said everything in this engine bay essentially is original to the car, other than a few little nuts and bolts and clamps, the vacuum on the distributor, and a few other things. I think he mentioned the dipstick. But this car is so original. It was the most original engine compartment and undercarriage and interior of any Z28 that we've ever had at MS Classic Cars, which says a lot. So if you're looking for something, it's not a survivor car because obviously the outside of it was restored. We did the work to the engine and so forth. But I would say lightly restored. You want a car that maybe hasn't been taken completely apart and put back together, this is the one for you to look at and bid on. Again, no reserve, selling on Friday, January 27th, lot number 1101.1. Got to check it out. Now, for the carrot of our collection, this is the most special, I would say influential car that we've ever owned in MS Classic Cars history. Again, you've got to visit our website, Barrett-Jackson's website. You've got to watch the video that we've done. I cannot tell you how proud I am to be in the presence of this car. This is a very, very special car. 1966 Shelby Group 2 Mustang that was built for Ken Miles. This car is selling on Saturday, January 28th, lot number 1396. I think the entire world is going to be glued to their TVs. I would expect that the entire auction is going to be in that auction room when this car crosses the stage because of how special it is. So I am going to just talk about this a little bit more in detail than I did the rest of the cars for obvious reasons. This particular car has an unbelievable story. So if we could kind of go back into time, everybody watched the movie, I'm sure, Ford vs. Ferrari, and the tragic death of Ken Miles. If we had made a part 2 to that movie would have concluded with that happening, and then we would have led into what you see here today. But Ford, back in that time frame, 1966, decided that they wanted to get involved with the Trans Am series racing. And they were not making the 66 GT350R for the racetrack like they did in 1965, where they made, I think it was 35 examples. So what they did to compete in the Trans Am series is they had to have a sedan versus the fastback. That was part of the regulations. This car, being a notchback, clearly qualified. Some people reference it as a coupe. This car was built to our specifications. So when you look at the Shelby registry, it clearly shows that everything that was done to the 65R was done to the 66R. That's basically what it is. So this particular car, they made 16 of these cars. This was number 12. This car, when you open up the Shelby registry, the first thing it says is built for Ken Miles. This was going to be the car that Ken Miles got into and started racing in the Trans Am series, and it would go on, obviously, to do epic things. Unfortunately, with the passing of Ken Miles, he wasn't able to drive the car, but the great thing is the car did still go on to do epic things. So, Chuck Cantwell, who signed this car, was the project manager of the GT350. He was friends with John McComb, who also signed this vehicle. They were racing buddies. They used to race MGs and so forth. John wanted one of these cars. Obviously, with such a limited amount being produced, they weren't available. But after Ken Miles had passed, Chuck Cantwell called John and offered John the car. John immediately jumped on the opportunity to purchase the car, and it was just a few weeks later that the car was on the racetrack where it won its first race. We have more documentation on this car than I've ever seen on a Shelby before. I'm sure there's a few out there that have more, but the point is there is this much documentation on this car. It is unbelievable. Pictures of John McComb with the car in his driveway, prepping it for the race. Just amazing documentation. This car helped Ford claim the 1966 Trans Am Championship, which is a huge deal. The car then went on to compete in more races. We have over 30 documented races that this car competed in very successfully. The car was only owned by a few people, and it wasn't until the early mid-'80s that it was discovered, and at the time it had actually been painted yellow, and it had black stripes on it. And I've got to tell you this really quick because it's so interesting. Gary Spriggans, who's become a friend of mine, and again, this is in the Shelby registry, names and so forth, and races and magazines and everything else, that he purchased this car essentially without an engine, without a transmission, and the reason he purchased it is because he saw the K in the VIN number. So back then, there was no internet, there was no Google and so forth. He wrote a letter to Shelby America indicating what car he had purchased, what the VIN number was, and they got back to him and told him, congratulations, that he owned car number 12. It literally changed his life. And the coolest part about it is that when he bought the car, he just thought it was a K-code coupe, and that's what it was. But one day he was sitting in a chair. He said he was in his garage, and there was a light coming through the window, and he could see a tinge of blue that was covered by the black stripe. He took some lacquer thinner, took off the black, and it was blue underneath. Got his head into the bottom side of the trunk compartment and see the white paint, and he knew at that moment, before he even contacted Shelby, that this was indeed going to be a Shelby. So we have pictures of the car when it was yellow. We have letters from Gary. We have the letter from Shelby. We've got everything that you can imagine for this car. This car was featured on Sports Car Graphic magazine. It's in multiple yearbooks. Again, all this stuff can be seen in the Shelby registry. Then the car went on, after Gary decided to sell it, to have a complete restoration done by Legendary Motor Car in Canada. They're very well known for doing Shelbys. They did a beautiful restoration on this car. Again, I cannot say enough about this car. And one other interesting fact, when Gary owned the car, and I don't even think Legendary knew this because Legendary knew that it was a Shelby engine, but Gary told me when he was doing his restoration, which he had done a restoration prior to Legendary, and then he showed the car at all different meets and so forth. Matter of fact, we have a Mustang Monthly magazine that shows Gary with Carroll Shelby, and the article basically states that Carroll remembered the car very well. Gary had asked him if the car was built for Ken Miles. He said it was. So again, besides the Shelby registry, it came out of Carroll's mouth that the car was built for Ken Miles. This is the kind of stuff you can't make up. It's all included with the car. But Gary told me he reached out to Terry Doty. Terry Doty was Shelby's top mechanic. And Terry Doty sold him this engine that had never been used, that was built at Shelby, and he also sold him the transmission. So that is a huge, huge bonus. And a lot of this information that I'm going over with you here today, this is all stuff that I have discovered through all the research. Toby Stinson deserves some credit from the Owl's Head Transportation Museum in Maine, because Toby is very good friends with John and Vicki McComb. And again, John has a lot of history with this car, as his wife Vicki does. Toby helped me put some more pieces of the puzzle together. We had Toby, John, and Vicki come to the dealership here at MS Classic Cars, and we presented them the car. It was an absolutely epic moment. You've got to go on our website at msclassiccars.com. Watch the video that we did. It's so awesome to see John McComb sitting behind the wheel of this car, starting it for the first time in all these years. It just really was the icing on the cake. So again, this is a beautiful restoration. It's selling on Saturday, January 28th. It's going to be an epic moment. The lot number is 1396. Again, I believe there's going to be a lot of eyeballs on this car. Again, no reserve. It's one of your opportunities to buy one of the rarest Shelbys known to exist right here, right at Barrett-Jackson, Scottsdale, 2023. We appreciate you watching this entire video here. I know it could be long, maybe at times, maybe boring to some. The point was to give you as much information as I could in one video to highlight our best collection that we've ever offered. We appreciate you watching. Again, please sign up for our VIP email blast if you haven't done so. Please follow us on social media if you haven't done so. MS Classic Cars is not a huge dealer, but I'll tell you one thing, we're doing huge things. We will see you in Scottsdale.